I must thank Jamie for giving me the opportunity to come and speak here. For the last 2 days, we are having multiple interesting topics from various facets of agriculture, not only in India but all around the world. And the topic which I intend to speak today is something which has been in the discourse and we have known in India for so long, that the mandis, Kisan mandis, do not properly operate. Then what is so new about my presentation? In one line, in a nutshell, it is INAM, the National Agriculture Market. Of late, since 2016, the Government of India has introduced the INAM. And how will INAM operate? It will operate through the existing APMC market systems, through the existing Kisan mandis. So the central point is that if there is fault in the APMC system, if my mandis do not work, then the crores of rupees spent on the INAM infrastructure, will that actually benefit the farmers? This is the central idea. With that, I start with my presentation. India is an agrarian land, we know. 58% of the population depends on agriculture still in the country. And coming to the states where I am working on, West Bengal, we do not still now give out any figure for the farmer suicides. These are the killing fields in all the states, in most of the states in India, but for long, West Bengal refuses to provide any data on farmer suicides. This is one background which I wish my audience to see. Next, another point is that India ranks 102 on the global hunger index. So we have hungry citizens, hungry children everywhere wanting for food. And the legal dimensions. See, all these I am pointing out to actually come to the main problem, the background and now the legal issues. According to the National Commission of Farmers, which was chaired by M.S. Swaminathan, they had given up a few recommendations in 5 sets till 2006. And one of the main recommendations was that agriculture must be coming to the concurrent list of the Indian Constitution. Meaning, the state and centre should take equal participation to take up policies of agriculture. But still now, it has not been implemented. Another cornerstone is that the Model APMC Act of 2003. Most of the states till now have adopted this particular act. This act could have helped the farmers to directly interact with the buyers and sell their product bypassing the middlemen. But West Bengal is another state which has not taken up or adopted the Model APMC Act. And India is a land where more than 80% of the farmers are small or marginal farmers. That is, they own land for less than 2 hectares. So what do? They work on others' field. Sometimes they get money, sometimes they get a bit of their produce, enough for keeping up their family, shed above their head and clothes on their back. That's it. Let me introduce you to the National Agriculture Market, or INAM. It was started in 2016 and it came as a recommendation from the 2014 budget. Until now, INAM links 16 states, 2 union territories through its network of 585 markets. So what exactly is that? Farmers can bypass the middlemen, get better prices through these mandis. How? By online trading. They do not need to get their produce to the actual mandis, and grading and assaying of a sample of their produce will be done in those mandis. Better auction through online trading, and ultimately the central idea is that the farmer gets better price, much better than what they are getting right now. So this novel venture was started in 2016. There are 70 mandis, or Kisan mandis, which are linked to INAM right now in West Bengal. So as part of my field survey, I went to 3 districts into 4 Kisan mandis to see actually what was happening over there. 2 of the mandis that I went to were not linked to INAM, and 2 of the mandis I went to were linked to INAM. The idea was that I need to compare what is actually happening. Is by linking INAM, the farmers are actually better off? Is actually the INAM is operating on field, or is it just on paper? What I found was was that in most of the mandis, Inam is actually existing on paper. And there is a very strong lobby of traders and middlemen who are trying to stop the actual implementation of Inam. This is one side. The other side is that although 17 mandis since 2016 have been already linked to Inam in West Bengal, what we find, those are incomplete. That means in some of the mandis, maybe some equipment has come, some grading, assaying facilities, and in the others, some other facilities there. For example, weigh bridges are there to weigh them. But the other infrastructure is lacking. And the most interesting point is that India is a land of villages, and the mandis are mostly in the villages. And the kind of network, internet connectivity there is, it's not sufficient to have such kind of bulk transactions. It's not one farmer, two farmer, 100 farmer, 1000 farmer. It's lakhs of farmers coming in on those mandis with their produce. Even if it's a part of their produce, they need to first convince the traders over there who are sitting over there that their produce is good enough for them to buy, and then the auction takes place. Now the traders, without any kind of mass education, post-Inam the government did not bother to give sufficient awareness programs to all the stakeholders. The stakeholders are farmers, the traders, the middlemen. So what happens is that the traders are actually into believing that they have to buy the produce by looking at the pictures. So on one hand, the traders do not want to buy them, and on the other hand, the farmers are not aware of what actually happens, because the process of Inam is very intricate, and in between, the middleman keeps on winning the game since it has been doing for the last 70, 80 years post-independence. Right now, in West Bengal, the middlemen in any of the mandis, be it linked to Inam or not linked to Inam, are earning around 7% profit scale. The minimum is 7%. It can go up according to the place of the mandi, in different states, and according to what they are actually selling. Now, a picture speaks 1,000 words. This is for you to see. I went to Uluberia Mandi, I went to Bishnupur, I went to Pashkura, and in Bagnan. So, this is a weekday in the morning where we are supposed to find farmers sitting over there with their produce, and traders should be there, and it should be a very busy place. But this is the actual picture. And when I was there, standing right there in the mandi, when I was checking on my phone whether this is operational or not, whether it is open or not, it was showing that it is operational. It is open from say 4 or 5 in the morning and throughout the day. And the two mandis which were linked to Inam, that was showing trading on. There's a small app known as the Inam app, on which you can actually see whether the mandis are operational or not, and they are showing it was operational. But when I went there, it was this. It's completely deserted. These are the different mandis, and as you can see, nothing was happening there. So on one hand, there is no transaction taking place the entire day. On the other hand, the open market sheds, where the farmers are supposed to take their produce and sit there trying to sell, we find them getting used by the government for various purposes. For example, in one, I saw there are hundreds of cycles kept for the Shobut Sati scheme. That's a scheme of government of West Bengal. The cycles are given to the girls studying. So the cycles are neatly lined up in rows within the auction houses or on the open market sheds. In others, you will find all the shops closed and not a single soul in sight. And a very interesting thing I saw in one of the mandis, on the door, the office door, or the Inam office door, there was pamphlets about Inam. The processes are being written, and those were pasted on the door. On them, middleman has written their contact numbers. Now, it is not written that they are middlemen. When you call them up and you ask them about certain questions about how Inam operates and all, slowly you get to know that they are writing their numbers over there. So my question is that, with all the good intentions of the government, every mandi getting linked by 30 lakh rupees for the farmers, there's a different breed of middlemen rising now? The last kind of middlemen, or the arthyas that we call in Bengal, those arthyas were charging a premium over the produce when they were helping them to sell it out to the other traders, be it the local ones or the larger ones, whatever. Because most of the farmers are having small amount of produce, they are not selling by charging a premium. Now, when the processes are much more intricate, does our farmers know all the technological know-how to use them? And since they do not know, these commission agents will now again help them to use these app or the website whatsoever. So, INA promised better price realization through eradication of intermediaries. So, this process can actually give rise to a different breed of intermediaries, even if those intermediaries actually agree to the processes. So, Bishnupur Krishak Mandi, they were actually lacking in assaying labs. In Pashpura, there is no assaying or grading labs. These are the laboratories where for the INA, you need to first grade your product. After that, it goes online. So, the grading labs itself is not there. So, how will the farmers sell? Even if they actually come for selling by INA, if through mass, let's just assume that over the coming years, the government gives out some mass education programs for the farmers or the other stakeholders. But will they be able to use their smartphones if they have any? Because they are mostly small and marginal. They are subsistence farmers. They are wanting the food for their family only. So even if they manage to get a smartphone, will they be able to use it? Then who will help them to use it? Again comes the middlemen. So on one hand, we are trying to eradicate middlemen from one system by having a different policy. A policy which will cost government a heavy amount of money, which it could have actually given in for some other beneficial project or program for the farmers. But a different variety of middlemen will actually come, the technocrat middlemen rather, if we could call them, who would actually help them in the process if it is actually successful in the future. Because till now, where West Bengal stands, it has actually zero value. In all the 17 mandis, you will find, even if it is linked to INA, it is existing only on pen and paper because there are different kinds of excuses. Either internet system is not working, the infrastructure is not complete, the people's know-how is lacking, or if it is all there, then the middleman is trying to stop from operation by telling the others that you have to buy your products by looking at the pictures. As per my sample survey, what I found, the main problem for the non-operation of these particular mandis was that one, when these mandis were made, they were made far away from the villages. Even if it is by the station, it is quite far away for the farmers to bring in their produce. They cannot afford the vans to get their produce every day. They do not get the chicks or what I would call the stamps for them to sell it in the mandis in one particular day. So they keep coming back and they cannot afford that. Another thing is that the amount of produce that they have, middleman becomes an easier option to sell. One middleman can actually take the produce of 10 farmers together and then pose as a farmer and then come to the mandi. Practice of selling in the traditional market is also another problem. Before the mandis came, these farmers were actually selling their produce, say by the highways, by the station road or other informal huts or smaller mandis which are informal mandi, not licensed ones where you have to give a market fee. They were selling there before and they already had a customer base over there. Now when suddenly these mandis are coming, even if it is not linked to INA, they will have to carry their produce over there, create a newer customer base, or the existing customer base needs to come over there, which they might actually disagree. So they are still in the traditional huts. Say for example, in Uluberia there's a big Kisan Mandi which I showed with a picture before, and in Bagnan also. But in between there are market yards near Kulgachia station which falls, this is a place which falls between these two mandis, and the farmers are actually there selling their produce, but it is completely in an informal type. And who is helping them in doing that? The middlemen. The local newspapers in West Bengal, say Anandabazar Patrika, has done a lot of secondary research on this topic in several districts, say Midnapur, Howrah, Bankura, and what we find is that almost 80% of the mandis, yes, it is as big as this figure, 80% of the mandi are not working. So you link a mandi which is not operational to another policy for which the government for per mandi is spending 30 lakhs of rupees. So as per my survey, what I felt was that in order to make this novel venture of INAM, National Agriculture Market, a success, one needs to first make the mandis operational. And in trying to do that, instead of copying from the Kerala model, why not we do a pilot project first by taking a few mandis? We actually give them all the infrastructure required, take a few years and see actually where it is going to, whether a newer brand of intermediaries are coming or not. If that does not happen, then we should go about having more and more mandis connected to the INAM. Because as of the next financial year, 13 more mandis will be joining the INAM in West Bengal, in a state where the Model APMC Act of 2003 was not adopted. So it will be completely in an ad hoc type. And say for other states like Bihar, where there is not even a single formal mandi, INAM will be joining in. So instead of having this gross, what I would say in quotes, misappropriation of funds for an issue which actually does not, it's not practical or real in the market, we should go for evaluation first, mass awareness of the stakeholders of INAM first. The government should devise schemes to first teach them what it actually is, and then only we can actually go for pan-Indian success of INAM. Thank you.